All right, so today I'm going to provide you very practical tips and next steps that you could take back this afternoon. You could do them right now on this webinar if you wanted, to help you quantify your impact, quantify your mission. And these are the building blocks of it. So the very first exercise I tell all of my clients to do in my workshops, this is where we start. We always start with the 5 whys exercise. It is a simple exercise. It will help you get very, very clear on what you should be measuring, what is important to measure. So if you've been to multiple webinars of mine, you know that I will tell you this because this is the first step. It is the easiest first step. So first thing to do, to either validate that you're measuring the right thing or start from scratch and develop new measures, you want to ask yourself 3 questions. I sometimes call it my 5-year-old exercise because we're going to ask you this question a lot. But you want to start out asking, why do you do what you do? Not necessarily why do you do what you do personally, but why does your organization exist? Why does it, like, why does your program, why does your service, why does it do what it does, essentially? And, you know, we'll get answers ranging, it depends, right? If you're housing, you're going to answer it in one way. If you're healthcare, behavioral healthcare, or youth services, like, depending on your mission, you will answer this question very different. And that's the beauty of impact measurement in the social sector, is that everyone has they're so, like, I can tell you that if I looked across the whole sector, the mission statement is the same. It is to create happy, healthy, thriving communities, period. I'm sure that somewhere in that giant mission statement, you are trying to tap in your own way to create a happy, healthy, thriving community. So what is that piece of, what puzzle do you fit to get us to happy, healthy, thriving communities? So ask yourself, why do you do what it does? So maybe your first one is, well, let's say you do workforce development. And your first why is that you want to provide basic employment skills to individuals. Okay, that would be your first level. But then ask yourself, why so that? So you want to train individuals with basic employment skills. Why so that? Why so that? Well, that individual can get a better job. Why so that? Why so that they can decrease their reliance on government funding and provide for their families. Well, why is that important? Well, because that generates you know, greater prosperity for that individual and that family. Well, why is that important? Well, that's important because we're reducing generational poverty. That would be one example of how that why so that train goes forward. So now you have your bucket of why your organization does what it does. Now we have to ask ourselves, why do our funders and partners want to partner with us? This is not always the same thing, people. And I think it's very important that we understand that. So let's go through our workforce development example. Our funders and partners, maybe they're government entities. And we have to be very clear that they want to fund us, not because, yeah, they want people to get better jobs and they want better skills, but what is it, the heart of their motivation? It's also, they want to save taxpayer dollars. They also want communities to thrive so that there's more revenues coming in for them to use and deploy, right? So we really need to look at our funders' point of view, because sometimes why our funders want to partner with us is not always the same as why we do what we do, or it is the same, but it's a slightly different angle of the same thing. So we need to make sure we understand what our funders care about and what we care about. And then the third most important thing we have to ask ourselves is, why do our participants and clients participate? What do they hope to accomplish? Again, you would think that they're the same thing, but they are not always the same thing. Because in, let's say, same thing, workforce development example. Maybe you have, your funders have a mission to decrease reliance on tax dollars, and you have a mission to increase job skills. Well, maybe your participants, especially if they're kids, definitely when you're dealing with kids, they just want a safe place to have fun and feel validated. Or, you know, if you're in healthcare, or yes, they want the service that you provide, they want the outcome that you're selling, but they also want to feel, like that program is for them. They want it to be done in a culturally relevant way. And unlike a for-profit model, where if you don't deliver your services, if a business does not deliver their services to their constituents in a culturally responsive way, guess what? that business does not succeed. You know, a certain segment of the market will choose not to do business with that company, and that company may struggle with that particular demographic group. And they would struggle financially. But in the nonprofit sector, that is not always the case. So if you are really about changing lives and changing circumstances, you need to make sure that you are engaging the individuals you choose to provide value to, and that you know and you can quantify the value that you're providing to them. Because if not, if people do not engage in your services, you cannot change their lives.